Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
June 4th, 2020. This is a select board meeting, which is being held remotely. I'm going to call attendance as required by the bond bank because we are going to be signing some documents of the bond bank tonight. So, and we will also be voting by roll call as we have been all along. And I'll call your names and please just say present. Steve DeLessio.
Present.
Cheryl Mayberry.
Present.
And I'm Peggy Bashir, and that constitutes the Board of Selectmen of the town of Walpole. We also have Regina Borden, who is our secretary, who is doing our recording tonight remotely. Fact TV is also recording us tonight. In the office, we have Sarah Downing, and our town clerk and tax collector, Sandra Smith, is with us as well. And in the audience, we have Bob Anderson. Our first business, if you want to put up the agenda, Sarah, I'm taking it out of order, but our first order of business tonight will be, in fact, the signing of the loan agreement, which regards the broadband. There are two documents that we're looking at tonight, and one of them is the loan agreement, which needs a motion to adopt and authorize me to sign as chair of the governing board. I think it was sent to all of you so that you've had a chance to read it. I'll need a motion and a second, and the vote will be done, as I said, by roll call.
Are we ready?
Yep, I think we're
Yep.
ready if you are.
I make a motion to authorize the chair of the select board, Peggy Bashir, to sign the loan agreement for the broadband bank as approved by town vote on March 14th, 2020.
Is there a second? Thank you. Cheryl Mayberry seconded that. The motion was made by Steve DeLessio. Are there any questions or comments you'd like to make about this document? Bob, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, surprisingly.
Okay, all right. If there are no questions or comments to be made, then I will call for a vote. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl Mayberry?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the motion is approved that the chair of the select board sign the loan agreement, which is dated on the 14th of July, which is the day that they go to the bond market, 2020. So it is approved, and I will sign it come in the office on Saturday to sign this agreement, when it will also need a signature of the town clerk and the town treasurer. And there need to be 4 copies of this. The next document that I'm going to look at is one that Sandy needs to be authorized to sign. Verifies that there in fact was a quorum tonight at the meeting, and that we voted by roll call vote, and that we have accepted this document, the loan agreement. So yeah, Cheryl's now Sarah's running through the loan agreement. You want to go to the next document? Yeah, this is the certificate of vote regarding authorization of bonds and approval of the loan agreement. So I don't know that this requires a motion at all, because it's simply that Sandy, looking at this, is the one who has to verify that we have in fact met the requirements of this loan agreement. We are all present, and that she has seen us and heard us vote. So I'm going to ask her to certify aloud, so that it is part of our recorded record, that she has seen us and heard us vote appropriately on this loan agreement. Sandy?
Okay, yes, I've seen it and heard it, and I will be happy to sign it.
Thank you. You'll get to sign 4 different documents, all right? Actually, you've got 2 documents to sign. You'll have to sign the one that I signed, so you'll sign 8,
I will sign all
actually.
4 copies.
all right? And I think that Sarah probably has, well, we don't have a town seal, do we?
Sandy does have a town seal.
All right, good. Well, then she can use it on the document that she signs. Are there any questions about what we've done tonight or comments?
It'll be good to get this all behind us.
It will. We'll be going to the bond market on the 14th, and it will be interesting to see what the interest rate is at that point. And we'll be in business for broadband.
Yay.
And Bob's going to try to persuade them to start in his part of town first.
Is that true,
Oh.
Bob?
We have the most underserved people in our part of town, so we should have.
That's true. That's true. That's true. You probably do. But they probably are going to start closer to some of their big units, which are in Alstead, Bellows Falls. So we can't be sure where they'll start. Sarah, will you go back to the agenda, please?
All right. Let's go back to stop share. Let's share my screen. Whoops.
Okay. Well, I see all of us, but
Yeah. Meeting doc. Oh, where is it? Hold on a moment. Here's the agenda.
well, we're going to start with accounts payable. At any rate, while you get that up, Steve, do you want to
I
start
make a-
with that, please?
Trying to connect.
Make a motion to accept the accounts payable check register in the amount of $16,734.94 for checks issued 6/5/2020. This includes a $2,785 payment to Ransom Consulting for work completed on the Brownfield project. The town will be reimbursed from the EPA grant funds.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions or comments about any of that?
Yes, Peggy. Could we ask Rich to include in the monthly finance reports payments that we're going to be reimbursed for now that we seem to have quite a few of them between the CARES Act and the EPA grant? That we should start keeping a list of these things to ensure that we do get reimbursed.
Oh, we do, well, yes, we do have that record, and I can ask him to include it. The EPA pays us very promptly,
I know.
incredibly.
Right. It's just good to keep track of it and have it part of our monthly reports. Second,
All right, I'll
Wow.
ask him to do that.
yeah, sorry.
It's okay. All right, if there are no further questions or comments, I'll call for the vote for the approval of accounts payable. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
I vote aye. The accounts payable check register is approved for 6/5/2020. Thank you. Next,
I make a motion to accept the payroll register in the amount of $28,752.99 for checks dated 6/5/2020 and the 9/41 payroll tax transfer of $5,996.69.
Second.
thank you. Are there any questions or comments? I'll comment that this includes quite a bit of overtime for the police department because the week that this represents the payment for, they had an unusually high number of cases to deal with. And so there was a great deal of overtime spent during that week. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The payroll register is approved. Do you want to go on to the minutes?
I recognize the select board minutes of May 28th, 2020. I'll make a motion to accept the select board minutes of May 28th, 2020.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments about it? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Let me turn this phone off. Sorry, somebody that doesn't know that I have a meeting every Thursday. If there are no comments or questions about the select board minutes, we did vote on that, didn't we? Yes, and I voted aye, so the select board minutes of May 28th are approved. Let's go on to the next set of minutes.
The non-public select board session minutes of May 28th, 2020, and they shall remain sealed.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Call for a vote. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The non-public select board session for May 28th, 2020 is approved and sealed.
I make a motion to accept the staff meeting minutes of May 21st, 2020.
Second.
Are there any comments or questions about these minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The staff meeting minutes for May 21st, 2020 are approved.
I recognize committee report from the Walpole Fire District meeting of April 21st, 2020.
Okay, that's acknowledged that we have received them. Let's go on to property tax abatements.
I make a motion to accept the property tax abatement for map 3, lot 82, sublot CL2, to correct the tenant on the lease with the New Hampshire Public Broadcasting cell tower in the amount of $5,932 to be abated to cellular wireless.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions about this? What was it, Sarah? Give me a little bit of background. Remind me. We were told these people were no longer on that tower. Is that correct?
That's correct. We had very poor reporting from New Hampshire Public Broadcasting. And actually, Sandy got the call from Verizon alerting us that there was an error.
Good. Well, that was good of Verizon to notify us that there was a mistake. All right, I'll call for a vote then for approval of map 3, lot 82, sublot CL2. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And I vote aye, and that abatement is approved.
I make a motion to accept the property tax abatement for map 3, lot 82, sublot CL3, to abate the incorrect owner of Verizon Wireless. The lease should be AT&T in the amount of $5,619.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none. Cheryl?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So that abatement is approved.
I make a motion to accept the supplemental tax warrant on map 3, lot 82, CL2, to build Verizon Wireless for their lease space on the tower in the amount of $5,932.
Second.
Are there any questions about this? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the supplemental tax warrant for map 3, lot 82, sublot CL2 is approved.
I make a motion to accept the supplemental tax warrant on map 3, lot 82, sublot CL3, to abate the incorrect owner of Verizon Wireless.
No, to build. He's gonna build.
We're not abating, we're
We're not abating that.
billing, right?
With-
We're gonna bill
Yeah,
AT&T.
bill 'em.
It's a supplemental tax warrant to bill.
It's the
Right.
bill, it should be a bill.
Right. It should be to bill Verizon Wireless, right? No, it should be to build bill AT&T
TNT.
in the amount of, I'm sorry, to bill AT&T Singular Wireless for the lease on the tower of $5,619.
Second,
Are there any questions or comments about it? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Aye.
Cheryl?
aye.
And I vote aye, so that warrant is approved.
I make a
Okay.
motion to accept the timber
Yes.
intent.
Sandy's
Matt.
gonna leave, if that's okay. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, of course.
Sure.
We'll note that the town clerk is now leaving the meeting, and thank you very much, Sandy, for being here. We
I have a
appreciate
hard
it.
time with the math,
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
the math
I
is bothering
understand.
her.
Yeah.
I understand.
and I sign
Thank you.
everything.
Good.
Everything's gonna
That's
be
what
great.
we need. Thank you very much for coming in.
Oh, I would die.
Okay, let's go back to,
I make a
next.
motion to accept the timber intent for map 2, lot 12. It's a lot located off of County Road.
Second,
are there any questions about it? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Cheryl?
aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so the timber intent is approved. Under old business, we've done the loan agreement, and thank you very much for that. And we have next a lighting on Arch Bridge letters to be sent to, for us to sign and to be sent to Senator Conch and Representative Weber. Are there any comments or questions about this?
Yeah, I saw the letter. It looks great. Did we copy the project manager on those letters, Sarah?
I don't think we did.
I don't think, I didn't put their names down, but we should. We should send copies.
Yeah, I believe we should copy him as
Her head.
courtesy.
She's got herself muted, so. Sarah?
Yes,
Un-
yes, we can
unmute.
copy the project manager. I think it's Mr. Tremblay, Jason.
Tremblay, yeah, Jason.
Yes, yes. I think all the names are on the bottom of the letter that we received from them, the
Mm-hmm,
latest letter that we received. Okay?
mm-hmm.
Is there a motion to accept this letter and send it as it's been written?
I move that we accept the letter regarding the lighting on the Arch Bridge to be sent to Jay Conch and Lucy Weber and
Second,
copied to the project people.
second,
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions about it? Hearing none, I'll
You
call
did-
for the vote.
I just wanted to say I thought it was very well written, Peggy. Very
Thank
well
you.
written.
Thank you. Cheryl, I'm calling for a vote.
So aye.
aye.
Thank you, Steve. And I vote aye. So let's come in and sign it over the weekend. We've now approved the letter to these two individuals. The next item of old business is the recreation area notice, which we have already, I believe, distributed and is hanging up. And today, this morning early, I had a very lengthy message from one of the residents in town, which I forwarded to all of you, who is very distressed that we are leaving out a section of town by not allowing the basketball courts to be used for pickup basketball games. I told her we would talk about it, that it is something obviously that we can't monitor. I did agree with her comment that the state really hasn't provided anything and that we were using our best judgment. I sent you a copy of my response to this person who wrote us, but I did agree that we would talk about it again tonight. And if you want to change, whether you feel we should change that or leave it as it is. I don't know what the governor will come up with this Friday. It could be some other lessening of things, or the next big statement that we know he'll make will be before the 15th of June, because that's when the stay-at-home order expires. but I think he has an expiration of the emergency order that comes up this Friday, probably. Tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
that's probably, the emergency order is probably going to get extended, I'm sure. But I don't know about the stay-at-home 2.0 things. That's a mystery.
I know it is.
I think it all combines with everything that we have left on our agenda, Peggy. With
Yeah,
the
it does.
farmers market, as well as this group that wants to meet on the Common tomorrow night. It's it's against the intent and the spirit of what's going on with what everybody's trying to do, and that's to prevent large crowds and prevent contact, right? That's why we're wearing face masks and social distancing and everything else. So I think we have to stick to our guns for a little while longer.
Well, the governor sort of undercut us a bit for that by the comments that he made in public session earlier this week, in which he said that he understood the need for people to gather and to have these peaceful demonstrations, and that he would not attempt to stop any silent vigils in any public space.
That may be an opinion, but I think at the end, we still have the local authority. And I'm just concerned, it's not the vigil that bothers me, it's not the topic, it's none of that. It's that it's now opening the door to crowds gathering on town property and commons. And frankly, they didn't even ask permission. They just told us they were doing it. And I think that's wrong. I just think we're opening ourselves up to further groups. Now we're going to just wind up coming out on the Common. And I just don't think it's right, but.
Well, the Common is public space, so unless we do something that gives people lots of notice that we are no longer considering it public space and that it's closed, I think they have probably every right to be out.
That may be fine, but we should know that we're going to see large groups of people meeting on the Common and meeting on public spaces, and we have no control over it anymore.
Now, isn't there still a requirement that you can't congregate more than 10 people?
Yes, there is still that requirement, and that's
that
part.
requirement.
So that would still, so the minute that 11th protester shows up on the Common, does that require us to have the police there monitoring that and telling them that they have to, disseminate? So, because they can't exceed 10
No,
people?
unfortunately, the governor has not issued any order that we have to enforce this. He strongly recommends it. He doesn't see the need to have any kind of serious enforcement, that he leaves it up to everybody to follow the rules.
I agree with Steve. I think it opens us up to other groups saying, well, you let them do it. You can't stop us from doing it.
Oh, I agree. It does do that. Absolutely.
There are people that are congregating occasionally. There aren't any, but it happens on the Common already. And we don't enforce anything.
But not to the extent that could happen tomorrow night. You're telling me that?
We had a pretty big play group out there one day, but our job is not to enforce.
We also had a group out there that looked like it was a Tai Chi group doing exercise the other day too.
So why do we restrict the basketball courts?
Well, that's exactly what the question was raised in that email I had today. Why are we restricting them when we should allow families? Well, I don't know who's in every family or not. So whether and basketball is not exactly a sport where it's easy to avoid contact.
Right.
We have to start drawing fine lines between everything, and that's going to become more of an issue. Same thing with the volunteers at the recycle center. They should just let them in.
There's a liability part of it probably where you can't control people, but you can at least ask them not to do it, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's enforcement. I mean, it makes it a new level if you have to go to enforcement and you can't really enforce it.
Or you put signs up that say, use at your own risk, although that doesn't, obviously that doesn't negate the town of responsibility should someone get hurt, but that's my concern. You
So
know,
it's-
if we can't monitor and then the, larger groups show up and we're not enforcing anything, then what position does that put us in legally?
And why would one group feel, or any group of people feel that they can risk the health of lots of citizens in town? When we know that symptomatic people are out there.
But it goes back to masks. You can only really request people to wear them, and you hope they'll use their good judgment, but to require it, you'll get into confrontations and it's not pleasant.
Well, I'm willing to say, at least on let's start with what we started with, the basketball issue.
Yep.
I'm willing to say that we leave it alone for a while until we hear more from the governor, who will be giving us more guidelines on sports activities and camps and all the rest of that.
I agree.
Steve, are you uncertain?
I'm uncertain if we're going to have groups of people meeting in public spaces, then I think the basketball courts is another place of public use. That's what it's getting down to, is that if we're going to start restricting some public spaces and not others, how do we deal with it?
Well, some of these things, I mean, tomorrow night's vigil is a one-time event, I'm assuming.
So it could be a basketball game.
The things that I've seen, I guess I saw it on the Walpolean today. People are asked to distance themselves, and I can't remember, did it say wear a mask?
Yes.
I think it might have, that it asked people to wear masks and to distance themselves.
One of them is you're condoning it. If you're saying the basketball's open, then you are in essence condoning that. The select board did not condone, no one condoned the use of the common. So it wasn't something that,
No, we're not
I'm saying.
sponsoring it.
It doesn't reflect on the select board or the town. They didn't condone it. You can't control people, so it's a public space. I mean, people can go to the basketball court now and play, but it's just not condoned.
Right. Well, and basketball's a
People are
contact
doing
sport.
that. I think people are already doing that, playing.
Right, but we're not giving them permission.
No, we aren't.
Yeah, it's not condoned. They do it at it's definitely at their own risk.
I think it's a bad precedence to allow it at this time with the COVID-19.
No, right. We agree with you.
We
don't
agree
want to
with-
allow it. So we
Yeah.
just want to know that that's what you
but
said
we're going to
originally.
do it. I don't think that we can order the police, or shouldn't order the police to remove them. Then we get ourselves into all kinds of other issues. Their intent for this vigil is a positive one.
Yeah, I don't disagree. If it wasn't COVID-19, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
No,
Right.
we wouldn't.
That's
Not
right.
at all. Not at all.
Right? And that's where
Yeah.
I'm coming from, that by having a group of us, and the other thing is, there's no one person, I guess. Is it Judy that's running this thing and is going to control it?
I have no idea.
So that's the other problem. We have a group of people that are going to be meeting on the common, and so who's going to go up to the people and say, you're not social distancing, can you spread yourself out a little bit?
Well, nobody, it sounds
And
like.
I think all we can do is, at this point, frankly, is to say that we expect that they will follow the rules and the guidelines that have been given for people when they are congregating, and that it be as brief as possible.
I guess it's a compromise. I'd also think that somebody should keep track of who's there, so that we can do
Contact for contact purposes, that's important.
That's important. I have to do it every single day at the museum. To meet Vermont standards, you have to do it. And I think if I read through some of the guidance, they're probably supporting contact tracing in New
Oh,
Hampshire.
they
as
are.
well.
New Hampshire was one of the first states to start contract tasting.
Contact. Yeah, and
Contact.
my niece
Get those
tested
words out
positive
right.
because of contact tracing.
So are
Right.
we asking the organizer are we going to ask her to keep track of the participants?
I think that's not a bad idea.
I think the organizer should be made aware that we're expecting that people will wear masks, social distance, and that there be an attempt made to keep a record of who's there.
I agree.
I think that's not unreasonable. Sarah, will you please call her tomorrow?
Yes.
Then the
That's-
next thing I'd like to suggest that going forward, that anyone during the state of emergency talk to us and ask about what they're going to do on the common, not just assume it for a while. So that we have some idea of what's going on beforehand.
And what groups are out there?
I don't know. I mean, tomorrow, based on this, I can have the Boy Scouts meet on the common.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, the Boy Scouts could meet on the common. It's just a reflection of them not following the order of 9 people or less.
No, I can have 9 kids on the common, or 10 with myself included, or Scoutmaster included.
No, it's 9 or less. It's less than 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that right now already.
You could do that.
But we haven't, because we've been following the spirit of the stay-at-home order.
Right, that's
Right,
right.
which is very good.
That's a very,
Right.
it's, you know, in a couple of these
You
calls.
sent to the Boy Scouts.
I just find it a little bit disturbing that people would find that it's okay to just disregard the whole stay-at-home order. So,
Well, it's
but anyway.
troubling. Someone has challenged the governor a couple of times when I've
Yeah,
been
I know.
listening
It's
to
in
him
court
and his
now.
question,
Yeah.
question and answer. You know, they say, look, you're contradicting everything.
Yeah.
You're telling us to stay home, but then you're telling us, okay, we can go do this. We can
Yep,
go
you
do
got it.
that.
Anyway,
So-
okay, I'm happy if we notify the organizer of the event.
We'd like her to keep track of who is there.
Okay, will do.
All right?
And I
Is
don't
there
know if
any-
there's going to be a police presence around there, Peggy? At least patrol
Oh.
there during it?
We certainly can ask that they do drive by, yes.
Yes, please.
I'll find out who's on duty tomorrow. I think the chief is, so,
Yeah, it's just a good idea, given all the turmoil that's going on.
all right.
What time is the vigil?
What time is it? I don't remember.
I think it's 7.
Yeah,
7
7
o'clock?
tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night at 7.
Okay. All
but
right.
anyway, back to the basketball courts. I think we just hold tight until we see what happens on the 15th.
All right.
Yeah.
I will tell her that we're going to hold tight until then. Any other old business? If not, we'll go on to new business. And again, this deals with the Greater Falls Farmers Market. They are asking to begin a farmers market. I think the first date was tomorrow, or the 5th. It was soon. The date seems wrong somehow.
It's on a Wednesday. It's on a Wednesday night.
Okay. Well, guess maybe it was wrong to me because
I
of
think
course,
it might have been next week. The 10th was the first date.
right, and that's still in the stay-at-home order.
Correct. But farmers markets are considered essential businesses, I believe.
They are?
It's another one of those fine lines. Agriculture is a essential business.
Yeah.
Food supply.
It's a food
Yeah.
supply item. And there's rules for doing it. I mean, to having it, and it seems,
Just while Sarah's looking something up, when I got the email from Jan, she asked me my thoughts, and I had a couple concerns. Certainly, all of the COVID-19 restrictions need to be followed. And the other thing was that in the past, all these farmers markets were on town property, the common,
Yeah.
so forth. This is like one of the first times I remember that they'll be on commercial property. And so I had a conversation with Jeff Miller from Planning Board, what his thoughts were. And we viewed it as no more than a cruise night that happens at periodically during the summer months on the same site, basically. So it's not going to be heavily driven, heavily populated, and it's a temporary once a week kind of a thing. So we felt that it didn't need approval from the planning board.
Is it going, no, and it is on private property, so you really don't have to do too much to do with it. It's going to be every Wednesday. Is that their intent?
I
I know you had the material, you had it in the
Yeah.
materials you prepared to throw
It's
up. on-
starting, it starts June 10th to September 25th on a Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. And it's a lot between the Pinnacle View Equipment business and the Hungry Diner, which is 9 Edwards Lane.
Okay, which is where they've wanted to build their co-op,
Right, I think that's where the co-op building would
that's-
be,
their the property.
target area.
From 4 to 7.
4 to
I
7.
think that's something that we also need to make note of to the police department, because that's heavily traveled road at that time of the day with commercial traffic, people going home from work. So there's a lot of traffic on Route 12 in that particular area. And people going to restaurants, even though they're only outside right now. Are they asking for our approval and support, or just notifying us?
Well, they went to the ZBA, and I think the ZBA is just letting us know that they want us to be aware of the proposal. There's really no oversight because the ZBA doesn't have an ordinance.
That's
Steve,
correct.
when you spoke with Jan, did she make any indication of what safety procedures they'd follow?
I spoke with Jeff directly and by email with Jan.
Okay, by email with Jan.
And yeah, and again, what I just said, that in the past, it's always been on town property, so it came to the select board for permission. And then I thought more about it, and I talked again with in email with Jan that it's on commercial property. So really, if there was any use, there's no use problem with that property. And I thought maybe the planning board, as Jeff said, there's no real, it's temporary, and it's no different than somebody having a cruise night or something like that along in that same area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just felt like, okay. So I just suggested that they contact the select board, just so we know what's going on, and I was glad that they submitted a little site plan to go along with it,
Yeah, it's nice.
with that as well. So I think they're very much aware of the COVID-19 restrictions or guidance. So I think it was well set up.
Okay, good. So as long as, because I think we need to be as concerned about the groups gathering there as we do other
Everywhere.
places as well.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we've already talked about the June 5th vigil on the Common. Is there any other new business that needs to come up?
Oh, I had new business. I had 2 items for the board, and one is, and I know Cheryl's aware of this too, Lori Landry, the superintendent of Fall Mountain Regional School District, asked to meet with the board. Originally, I sent it earlier in the week, and then we were looking for a date, and she's not available next Thursday night, the 11th. So the next one would be the what, 18th?
18th, is she available then?
I can ask. She just wasn't available on then.
Okay, well then ask her then, if that's all right.
And did you want to meet earlier or at 6:30?
I think she can be part of the meeting, don't you?
Yes.
Just
Yeah, I think so. I think she can be part of the meeting. We'll
Sure,
just
and
put her
she'll be-
on
first. Yeah. Okay.
on the
I will
18th.
ask. And then the second meeting that seems to have kind of languished was a meeting with with Mark Houghton, the Emergency Management Director, and Chuck Shaw, the Health Officer, for follow-up about COVID-19. And I think, Peggy, you had a conflict. You wanted to meet like next Tuesday, but you were very booked with library
I am,
meeting.
but it turned out anyway that I don't think Mark was available either. Mark's schedule is worse than anybody's.
He's very busy.
Well, we'll just try again. I'll send another email to him and ask him when he is available. He wondered if we could meet in the daytime. For him, it would be easier if we had a meeting earlier in the day.
I think that's fine for me. I don't know about Steve.
Yeah, it's fine for me. The only date that I absolutely can't make is the 17th.
Okay, I'll tell him that. I
Yeah,
mean, he called me today to try to talk to me about some things, and a fire call came in, so that ended that. I don't, and I think that happens to him frequently. Okay, anything else, Sarah, that you have languishing on the desk?
No, just making a meeting times and scheduling.
Okay, all right. Well, I will get hold of Mark again and ask for a time. A notice on the 17th for Steve.
yeah.
Is there any other new business to come up? If not, I'm going to ask that we adjourn the select board meeting. I'll declare it adjourned.